Welcome to the third annual Women in the C-Suite virtual event.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jamarah Hayner, and I have the tremendous privilege of being the Vice Chair of the Greater Los Angeles Area African American Chamber of Commerce, better known as GLAAACC, and I want to welcome you to our Women in the C-Suite event. This is personally one of my favorite events of the year, of the many amazing things we do here at GLAAACC and have been doing since 1991. GLAAACC is so committed to being a champion for African American-owned small businesses throughout the LA County region, providing mentoring services, contracting opportunities, and so many other amazing avenues for Black-owned businesses like my own to succeed. So I just want to thank you all so much for joining us. And as a woman business owner myself, it has been quite a year, and I know that you are all exhausted and in need of fellowship and so many other things. And that's a really important part of what we do every year with Women in the C-Suite. So even though we are online this year, I know that it will be just as amazing as it has been in years past. The sisterhood here, the allyship, the encouragement, and the space to be honest and real is what today is all about. So thank you all so much for joining us. And now it's my pleasure to introduce our founder and chairman, Gene Hale.
Good afternoon. My name is Gene Hale, chairman of the Greater LA African American Chamber of Commerce. I would like to thank all of our sponsors: Southern California Edison, California Resources Corporation, Union Bank, and Valero. You know, there's a lot of benefits in being a member of GLAAACC. The one reason that we wanted to honor these outstanding women is because sometimes, you know, many people, women especially, don't get the recognition they deserve. At this time, I would like to bring up our sponsoring company, Southern California Edison, Ms. Quiana Charles. She's the manager of government relations for the Southern California Edison Company. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Chairman Hale, for the introduction, and thank you to the Greater Los Angeles African American Chamber of Commerce. Again, my name is Quiana Charles, and I'm a principal manager of government relations at Southern California Edison. And on behalf of our 13,000 employees, we are proud to serve as a presenting sponsor for this year's Women in the C-Suite event. In fact, this is our third year in a row serving as a presenting sponsor. At Edison, our vision of a clean energy future has always been one that benefits all communities. We're also working very hard to support our cities, our nonprofits, our businesses, and communities at large throughout our 50,000 square mile service territory. And a part of that support is advancing contracting and development opportunities for African American businesses through sponsored events such as today, through education, and as well as networking opportunities. For 7 consecutive years, SCE has recorded more than 40% procurement spend with our small and diverse businesses. And in 2019, we spent $2 billion with our small and diverse businesses. But beyond support for supplier diversity programs, we are equally committed to supporting our customers and our community-based organizations. We are heavily investing our $20 million in charitable giving, which is provided by our shareholders, to support organizations in the areas of emergency preparedness and response, environmental stewardship, education, and lastly, civic and leadership engagement. Today's conversation features an esteemed panel of Black women leaders who will discuss the issues that matter most to us, but we will also talk about how to support each other to ensure that women have a seat at the table. I'm looking forward to the discussion, and in times like this, we need forums such as this to uplift us and to encourage women to thrive and to excel in greater positions of power and influence. I recall a quote by Maya Angelou when she said that each time a woman stands for herself, without knowing it possibly, without claiming it, she stands for all women. And we know that when women support each other, incredible things happen. So again, to the Chamber, thank you for your partnership. And on behalf of Southern California Edison, it is my pleasure to present the third annual Women in the C-Suite event. Thank you and have a great day.
And now, introducing our special guest, Bonnie Hale, Board Director of Bank of California, answering the question, what does it mean to have a seat at the table?
Hello, I'm Bonnie Hale, Director of Bank of California in Southern California. And the question is, what does it take to be on a board of directors, a corporate board of directors? And I would say, first and foremost, it does take a certain level of expertise. And you can determine what expertise it is that you take to a board. If it's financial and you can serve on an audit committee, or you can even chair an audit committee, that would be important. If it's HR related, that would be good, or corporate governance. But you determine what it is you believe you take to a board of directors. I think the next thing is to understand that you're invited to serve on a board. It's not a job for which you apply. And once invited, you have to be sure that if you're working for another company, there's no conflict, and your CEO is supportive of you serving on a corporate board. And then you have to determine whether there are any conflicts in terms of important dates that you need to be at your own job as opposed to at a board meeting. It is not enough to just bring diversity to the board. It's important to be seen as a valuable and respected contributor. Do your homework on the company before accepting the board seat. Know who you will be serving with, and meet at a bare minimum with each member of the nominating committee individually or together, whichever works best for you. It's also important to know if there are any issues that the company has that might be a challenge for you, legal, financial, or otherwise. And these are usually disclosed, they're public information, and disclosed in either their proxy or, in a news article. So you should check that. Then remember that you are not only being interviewed for the board, but that you are also interviewing the board to see if it's someplace that you truly would enjoy serving and where you'd like to serve. Not all companies are going to be a great match for you. The most important thing is to really know why you want to serve on a corporate board. I've had people say to me, I'm getting ready to retire, so I want to serve on a corporate board. Wrong. It's not a retirement gig. I think it's really important for people to know why they want to serve on a corporate board. If it's because they feel that they can add value, then that's important. Adding value for shareholders and for the company as a whole. And, directors can't forget that they serve at the pleasure of the shareholders, and they are there to look out for shareholder interests, not their own interests, but shareholder interests. And it's not to be it's a partnership with the management team in the sense of trying to do the best thing with the company for shareholders so that they can receive the benefit and the value. And I've all too often seen people who think that their job is to be adversarial with management, and that's just not the right angle, okay? So it's really understanding what your job is as a director, what your role is, how to execute that role, and what the expectations are.
Ladies and gentlemen, the GLAAACC Women in the C-Suite panel.
Hi and welcome, and thank you all for joining us today. This is an honor and a privilege to be seated among the women of the C-Suite, hosted by the Greater Los Angeles African American Chamber. So if you haven't already prepared yourself for a dynamic powerhouse of women, I suggest you take a seat and take a moment to create the deposits that are going to carry us all into the next generation and move us forward. So thank you for being here today. I'd like to start off by introducing our illustrious guests. We have a plethora of experience, knowledge base, and industry in front of us today. And I'd like to start that off with Miss Hallemah Nash. Thank you for joining us today, Hallemah.
Thank you for the invitation. Great to see you, sis.
Very good. So tell us a little bit about you and Rosecrans.
All right, fantastic. Well, I am Hallemah Nash. I am the founder of Rosecrans Ventures, and Rosecrans Ventures provides professional and developmental support for Generation Z students of color, and also consulting supports for CEOs, HR leaders, and startups that are really looking to cultivate their talent pipelines through internships. I have been in the game for about 3 years doing this work, but in the space of diverse talent development for 16 years.
I love that. Your people strategist title serves you well. Thank you for joining us today, Hallemah. And in addition, we have Miss Kim Carter here today. Thank you for joining us, Kim.
Thank you for having me.
Will you tell us a little bit about yourself and your partner in practice, if I'm not mistaken?
Yes. My name's Kim Carter. I am a partner at the law firm of Kelly Dry. We have offices all over the country. I am based out of the Los Angeles office. I practice labor and employment. I've been practicing for many years, but started off doing as a tax attorney. So made a little transition, but have found my place and have been doing labor and employment for over 15 years.
Beautiful. And then will you add to that? Will you tell us what you're most proud of? I mean, an accomplishment in itself being a partner in your practice, but what are you most proud of?
I guess being a mom, being an example to my kids and especially my daughters, to show them what is possible for them, especially as a Black woman.
Oh, beautiful. And I'm sure Hallemah's sharing those sentiments. Will you give us a moment and tell us what you're most proud of as well?
Well, I am most proud of the opportunity in 2019 to place 26 Black and Brown students in C-suites, in executive suites across the country.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you. And echoing those sentiments of women empowerment, Christine Keith, in addition to a business owner, you're also a board member and carry very many places in the community. Will you share with the audience and tell us a little bit about yourself and Elite Auto Network?
I'm Christine Keith, owner of Elite Auto Network. I'm proud to celebrate 32 years of business, so I'm very happy about that. And also very happy to be a community participant and giving back and also providing places, workshops, and summer internships for young college students. So I'm proud of being able to offer that to the community.
Beautiful. Thank you, Christine. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
Assembly member Sydney Kamlager, thank you for joining us today from the political realm, from the decision-making of our state. Thank you for being here with us. Will you tell us a little bit about yourself and your efforts and platform, possibly?
Sure. Well, I'm very happy to be here with all of these amazing and beautiful Black women. I'm Sydney Kamlager. I'm the Assemblywoman for the 54th Assembly District, which includes Westwood, West LA, Mar Vista Palms, Mid-City, portions of Inglewood, South LA, and the Baldwin Hills community, and all of Culver City. I've been in elected office since 2015. I focus mostly on equity issues. I have sort of been centered in the criminal court system since my time in the Assembly. I was elected in 2018. And I am most proud of being able to represent this diverse and active community and of being a daughter that my mother is proud of every day that she's with me.
Well, that's beautiful. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for that. Ms. Tameka Raymond, you are joining us here locally, Los Angeles area as well, yes?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Will you share a little bit more about yourself and something you're most proud of as well?
Hi, I'm Tameka Raymond. I actually am from the Bay Area, but I'm in Los Angeles now. I have a company called Swanky Image Group. I do all things creative. So I'm a designer, fashion stylist, Now I'm starting to create content for my own animated series. So I'm doing a lot of things. I'm very, very proud of my accomplishments. Coming from a city that didn't even really have a shopping mall, and growing to where I've grown, kind of pull myself up by my bootstraps and learn the fashion industry. And I've been able to work and employ lots and lots of young African-American men and women, and they're all doing really well in the field.
Beautiful, thank you. So ladies, we are in a room of self-made, self-accomplished, and determined women. So I just applaud just being in your presence right now. I'm Ronda Jackson, your host, serial entrepreneur. I consider myself a been there, done that, bought the t-shirt, kept the ticket stub life champion. I think that would best describe me the most. So today's discussion, I really want us to be able to make deposits, to share authentically, and really talk about not just where you've been, but where you're going, right? And how you plan to get there, and the things that are going to fuel you to get to do that. Is it something from your past? Is it something that you look ahead and see? I heard a lot of sentiments and mementos for our daughters and our mothers. How do we harness that and take that and then leave a deposit on the audience today? So I just want to plant that seed for you as we begin our conversation, ladies. Are you ready to begin our conversation? Okay, beautiful, beautiful. So a few of the questions are self-directed. So, kind of poignantly asking each of you kind of individually certain questions. So don't feel like I'm leaving you out if we don't direct the question, specifically to you. Okay. All right. So the first question, there has been conversation, 2020 was the year, or is the year, where women on boards, corporations are supposed to have represented 20% of women on boards. And I wanted to ask your opinion on whether you felt mentorship or sponsorship, and if you distinguish between them both, is a reason why we're not seeing those numbers. Okay. So mentorship in the form of, guided direction. Sometimes we model ourselves out to people, but then sponsorship is more the conversation around the hand holding and the self-direction. So I see you, Hallemah, nodding your head quite a bit on that question. So you want to kind of take a lead on mentorship and sponsorship for women leaders?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's important to sort of note the difference. There are mentors and sponsors are important, but the mentors are the people that really guide your success. They give you direction and what the pathway should be. And a sponsor is a person that ensures your success. They put their sacrifice, they put their network on the line to ensure that you're in a successful space. And what I found in my entry to board service, as well as my entry into some executive spaces in executive leadership, my sponsor was the person saying, I am going to bring this person's name, their talent into the room, so that if I am commanding a fantastic space or a network or resources, I'm going to ensure that this person has access to the same things that I have. So I think sponsorship is important as women of color. It is a necessity. I think that there are so many women of color that seek out mentors, but it is so very important that you seek out both.
I love that. And thank you for that really nice, distinct definition between the two. And I kind of want to direct this next kind of add-on question to Kim Carter and ask you if you found one or the other, especially in a position as a partner, which is not a commonly held position for women, women attorneys, women of color, if you found either mentorship or partnership to be part of your success.
Absolutely sponsorship, right? So I've had lots of mentors, cross-section of industries, sitting on boards. But when it comes time for something like a partnership at a law firm, for example, I'm the only person of color, and like Black person, African-American, who's a partner in my firm, certainly the only Black woman. So it certainly was who knows you, right? Because you have to be voted into the partnership by the partners. So absolutely making those connections were integral, but I'm not in the room when they're talking about me and bringing up my name. So having people who are willing to put their reputation on the line, to be able to say, Kim, I feel confident with her connecting with my clients, that's imperative. And so absolutely, I would say mentors were important for me being able to see the field. Sponsors were important for me to be able to get on it.
I love that. I love that. And that's such a distinct. So then, you know what, if you Tameka, this one's going to be for you. So as a self-made successful woman, right? You said that a lot of your path you've kind of blazed and cleared on your own. Do you feel that did you have mentorship or sponsorship? And if you did or didn't, do you feel it would have had you in a different position than you are in now?
You know, it's funny. I never thought about the distinction between the two prior to today, but I will say that the two women that I deem as mentors, I think they come from a more of a loving place. You know, I think of sponsors having more to gain. There's usually something, if it's not financial or, you know, credit or, you know, something like that. But whereas I see mentors as people that really just like an aunt, you know what I mean? My female mentors are like, one of them is actually my aunt, and they're people that just want to bring you up from the kindness of their hearts.
I love that. The genuine concern. We need those type
Correct.
of support.
Right.
I call that my shoulder to cry on. So I totally understand what you're saying.
For sure. For sure.
Yeah. So Christine, you have a big buxom shoulder at home to cry on. with having a family-owned business, you and your husband Todd owning Elite Auto Network. Do you feel having the legacy of the company helped in guiding you in your role, or, you know, with it being an established business, or were you still in need of that mentorship or sponsorship?
I think my path was a little different because prior to joining the company, I was a physician. So I had it was a whole different field. Although at my own practice, I was managing and I did day-to-day business duties, as I retired from that field and went into this company. I think the mentorship helped me. I was able to gain a lot of knowledge from business owners such as yourself and network and build relationships. And I got a lot of support from my fellow business, women business owners. So the commercial side I developed on my own. And that was kind of my own little baby where I nurtured, and it's been successful. So it's been a transition, but I think both sponsorship and mentorship has really helped me along the way.
I love that. And Sydney, from a purview, I feel like you're like the purview of us as a global environment, right? Looking at us as not only residents of the state, but as business owners or, you know, citizens of the world. What's your opinion, one, on the mentorship and sponsorship, and how have you personally benefited from having that, especially in a political arena?
So I love the distinction that's been discussed thus far with Kim and Hallemah sort of leading that. Yeah, I too have had mentors, friends, you know, family members, people that I looked up to who were interested enough in me to give me guidance, to offer constructive criticism, to tell me truths that, you know, I didn't want to really hear, but that were necessary for my own personal development. And many of those folks are, you know, they're men and women, and they are in the political world and in the business world and in the creative world. You know, I think of sponsors sort of a little differently. I've certainly had folks who have said, I'm going to sponsor you, I'm going to recommend your name into this, you know, organization or on this board. But then I've also had folks say, I am going to invest in you. I'm going to invest my money into your campaign, into this cause. And that's, you know, very important. And I think critical for folks who are African American, because, you know, we too like to get strong return on investment when we sort of economically and financially sponsor someone. And I've benefited from having folks say, you know, I'm going to write you this check because I want you to win, because you speak for folks that tend to be marginalized. And so as a result, you know, not as a result, but I also do the same. It's sort of how we pay it forward. And it's really how we show our worth and value to someone and their worth and value to us.
I love that. And I like that you brought up the word invest. because a lot of times that investment comes from people that don't look like us at all, be it male, be it of other cultures. One of you ladies, if you'd like to kind of speak on the investment outside of our community that has maybe impacted your career. Do you have a comment on that?
Oh, yeah. I mean, you know, you will hear people say that it takes a community. And I would, you know, it's interesting when we get in these panels and sort of talk about ways that we can empower one another as entrepreneurs in our roles. Like, we're talking about ways that we bossed up, right? Like a sponsor, you know, help me get this role. And you know what I'm saying? Like a mentor, you know, help me to get this opportunity. But for me, it was the investment in me as an entrepreneur to take a sabbatical.
Okay.
There was an organization that is led by a non-Black or brown person that wanted her legacy to give Black women rest. And she reached out to me and said, I know you're jumping into entrepreneurship. I think it would be life-giving for you to have just sort of fertile ground and to have an opportunity to just rest, which as Black women, especially as entrepreneurs, that's not a thing. Right? Like you eat what you kill. So, you know, you gotta get up every morning and grind, right? So for me to have that kind of investment that, you know, a lot of non-people of color, just it's standard, right?
Yeah.
You know, like I'm going into a new job, I'm gonna take a month off. You know, I'm going to take 6 weeks off. So this investment in me was someone that sees the value in Black women entrepreneurs, sees the value in our brilliance and our hard work and our grit, and said, because of that, I'm not going to make an investment for your business to go, but I'm going to make an investment for you to have a period of rest so that you can enter entrepreneurship as your best self.
I love that. And thank you for showing up for that and representing in that case, because that could have been shut down immediately had you not been who you are. So I do want to acknowledge that. And Kim, I saw a sparkle in your eye when we brought this topic up. What you got to say, girl? Speak on it.
That's a thing. Like, yes, no, I do not say that I have experienced that, but
okay. But
deposits, phenomenal.
Oh, okay. But deposits or contribution from outside of the community, outside of being a female, was there a male person maybe within your firm or someone that took an interest to support getting you where you are?
Absolutely. So, I mean, all along the way, whether it be, and I also have interest in philanthropy and helping the community. So I was asked to join GLAAACC as a younger attorney by Hale, and just saw that I had an interest and a passion for, helping my community. So, asking me to be a part of that board, and every step of the way in terms of my career, absolutely. There have been people who've seen, my aptitude, my ability to get things done, and have helped me, men and women. So I absolutely appreciate the fact that people have taken the time to invest in me, especially in the environment that I'm in, where it really is a boys club. So, just taking the time to appreciate the fact that my path may look a little different, but that I still have value and contributions to give.
And again, I think getting there, but actually staying there or being able to keep the position is the other part that you have, best suited for, prepared yourself for. And I thank you ladies for authentically sharing from that perspective. There's an African proverb that says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And that togetherness, it isn't just 1 or 2 degrees from you. It might be 6 or 7 degrees, to get those deposits needed for success. So I want to talk about that, for example, the definition of success, right? And you guys in your own right and all of your positions are really, carrying a torch. What's one thing, one experience that you've had that you would rather not see another Black or brown girl go through? And I'm talking professional in your careers, and maybe something you went without that you'd like to help remedy or share, because also this is a resource. This is an opportunity for the people within the sounds of our voices to help correct and remedy some of the wrongs in the world. So if you guys don't mind sharing something, maybe I'll start with you, Tameka, in your self-made journey. What's one thing that you would like to see other, Black or brown girls not go through to get, to a successful point in their lives?
I think, a huge hindrance with African-American women is kind of the scarcity mindset. I think that oftentimes we shy away from either referring others or helping elevate other women because we kind of think it's going to take food out of our, take something off our table. And the scarcity mindset has to be probably one of the most huge obstacles that I've faced in business, especially in the kind of business that I'm in, because it's a little entertainment driven. So it's very competitive. And I just never, personally, I've never lived in that space as a career professional, just because I feel like what's mine is mine, and what's meant for me is meant for me. So I always refer my friends. I don't care, friends or associates. If anybody on this panel, if I know you have an expertise and someone needs it, I am a referral. Like, oh, my girl can do this, or my girl can do that. My best friend's a lawyer. I brag on all my friends. I think they're all amazing, but I find that it's not always reciprocated.
All right. But I appreciate and salute your go-giver, right? Your spirit.
I like that.
All right. So I need you to bottle that, share it, put a label on it, because I know you can design one. Yeah. We're selling that in the store.
Yeah.
What about you, Sydney? What's something that and especially from a broad view of seeing statewide, what's needed for, whether it's education, or tell us what you think we need, or would you'd like another young person not to have experience?
Well, I certainly believe that we need more Black women in elected office, because it is hard saying, I'm only the 14th woman since statehood to be to represent a district in the state of California. It's hard to say there are only 3 of us, in the state of California. So I would certainly invite more women to run for office. I having said that, I think it's also important that we not shy away from our vulnerability, and to see that as strength. And oftentimes we put as much armor as we can stand on us and around us, because we know, the battlefields are hard. And it's in some of the more quiet or spontaneous moments where you see someone's vulnerability, or when you decide to share your own. I know this has been the case for me, that I've been rewarded in ways that I hadn't expected. And sometimes the reward is actually receiving something that you didn't expect to hear, or then coming back to the moment and having someone, give you a little extra grace. Yes. And it can be off-putting, in fact, because I think so few people expect us to either be vulnerable or to share our vulnerability. And so I encourage young women to consider it as an asset and as a strength.
Mm-hmm. But don't mistake kindness for weakness.
Please
right?
don't, because we can come for you.
Yeah. Garçon. I love that. So let's talk about, there were 2 things that kind of came up just in this dialogue about needing to remedy some of the wrongs or some of the lack ofs in the society right now. And one of them comes from, a few of you touched on it, the fact that they say that we don't get along, that we don't like each other. That we can't operate in the same space and mean well for each other and see each other as successful. Can we have a discussion about that? I mean, where is this coming from, number one? And number two, are there things that you consciously and intentionally do to promote an environment of our own inclusion, right? Let alone what else is happening out in the world, but how do we continue to include each other? And I'm going to start the conversation at you, Christine. I'm not sure that your office, actually you do staff men and women at your office, right? So
yes.
Dynamic with women employees, female employees. Talk a little bit about what your experience has been, or how you mitigate that attitude or that type of culture in your environment.
Well, supporting each other. I mean, I'm very supportive of all my female entrepreneurs, as some of the women on the panel already know. I'm always an advocate for networking and being truthful with each other, always trying to learn from each other and offer advice, productive advice. I'm always asking, what do you think I should do? Do you think I should improve in this area or that area? So I expect honesty so we can all grow together. I always feel like if I'm successful, if I'm improving, then you're going to improve, and vice versa. So I celebrate I celebrate your achievements, I feel like if you're winning, I'm winning. I'm proud of you. I promote you. And that's how I interact with my whole network of women that I engage with all the time. I feel that it's a team effort. We all have to win together. It's not just me and it's not just you, it's all of us. So I don't know if I answered the question.
More than we see you, Christine. I have been leadership of your love, your kindness and grace, and just say keep doing what you're doing. Okay. I think there's a word that came to mind, and I scribbled it real quick when you were talking, and it was, there's empowerment, there's empowerment.
Right.
What about empower we? Right. What happens when we as women echo each other's voices? Echo the sentiments of success, echo that. Just a quick little side note. So I'm an interior designer, spent 5 years in interior design school, and I'm looking over the shoulder of, these women that are drawing and pulling up in Range Rovers, and I was not one of them, let me just say. And I remember coveting this woman's electric eraser. I had never seen that before in my entire life. But, when I would go by her and I try to look to see what the label said, she kind of flip it around. And I was like, dang, I can't see what it is and where to go get it. So, never once did she say, oh, here, here's what it is. And this is what it does. So I don't know what, electric eraser in your life is, but make sure that maybe those things that we have as gifts that we are willing to share, that we take those to the forefront and offer them and not even wait for it. And that's one thing I love about you, Christine, is you don't even wait for the need. You say, hey, I found this here. I think you can use it. Hey, Tameka mentioned it. And maybe you want to speak on this a little bit more, Tameka. You said that when you know someone needs something or hear them in conversation, you automatically bring their name up, right?
I am probably that everyone thinks like, are you getting a bonus for like promoting all your friends? I mean, I'm like, my friend runs Combs Enterprises. My friend that I'm like, I brag on my friends. Yeah, I think it makes me cooler to have this many empowered women in my network, right? So I'm like, I got a good Rolodex, and these are my homies. So I don't know, but I don't find that it's really. I feel that women and we African American women can be intimidated by one another. It's a sad thing. That woman with that eraser, that's just a plain old hater. That was terrible. Because guess what?
I think that I don't think it's taught. I don't think that I don't know. I think it got lost somewhere where we don't encourage each other or reach out to your sister and say, you're doing a great job. I'm proud of you. I don't know if society, I don't think that maybe it's inherent. I'm not sure why more women don't do that with each other.
Because we think that someone's going to take our slot. We think if I talk about how good you are as a designer or as a interior decorator, that may take away my shine. And see, I don't think it works like that. I don't think it works like that because, like I said, what is meant for me is going to come to me. God already has all of my blessings aligned. I feel like everything is predestined for me. And I don't know. I just think it's the seeds you plant.
I love that.
That's true.
So that is really good. And again, I'm about takeaways. I'm about action plans. So maybe snippet, and I'll give you a couple seconds to think of this, but what's a strategy or what's one thing that each woman individually could contribute to a conversation like that, to create opportunities like that without, announcing, not doing it for reward, not doing it for a commission, like you said, Tameka. I'm going to go around the room, but what's one thing, to your point, Christine, about the effort or the energies being lost or untaught, right? So what's one thing we could do? Maybe, Kim, do you have a thought maybe?
In terms of being able to support the cause of women coming together. Yeah, I think it just is kind of, what Tameka is saying, that you really think about the contributions that people around you have done to support each other. I know that I had a conversation with my girlfriend recently, and she mentioned, like, I think all of us have suffered from imposter syndrome, right? Thinking that you don't belong in the room. And it was such a shocking thing that she felt that way about herself. So sometimes it's just picking up the phone to the people who are in your network, that your girlfriend, just saying, you're pretty amazing and I'm proud of you, and what can I do to support you? And finding out what people need, because sometimes we're so focused, we're in our own little silos, we don't really appreciate that there are women who we think have it going on that really just need a little bit of a push. They may need to hear your words today. So find out what the people in your network need, do, how you can help, and and act accordingly.
I love that. I love that. Thank you for sharing that. Hallemah, what about you? I see you nodding.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just hearing so much good. I'm over here writing notes. So much stuff from these. I'm putting it in the chat. I mean, this is good food. For me, Oprah Winfrey has this quote, the most powerful thing you could do is tell your own story. And I think that there is, you kick this off by talking about this brand that exists when it comes to Black women not being able to get along. And I'm hearing all of these women talk about ways that they pour into other women and ways that this is not really a context for them experiencing it in spaces, but it's not a context for them. My action item is I share the togetherness that I experience as a Black woman in entrepreneurial circles. And I'll tell you, like, the brand thing is interesting because right now, like, train wrecks are more attractive. So people want to watch fighting and cackling, and train wrecks is not as sexy as 7 Black women doing yoga in their backyard during the quarantine, right? Like, that might not be covered at the top of the news, but I think, our ability to just elevate our stories of the community of Black women that have protected us, that have elevated us, that root for us as their homies, the way Tameka was talking about. And I'll give a shout out to Tameka. This is my first time meeting you, but I'm going to give you an example of a way that you did that you might not even have known. I was having a meal with my mentee at a restaurant on 3rd in Los Angeles, a Mexican restaurant. Toca something.
Madeira.
There you go. And you were having a meal with your girlfriends, and y'all was having a fine time, honey. And I was having a conversation with my mentee about one of the reality TV shows, how she talked about, I feel like, most of the time Black women, we just don't get along. I said, look at that table over there. Look at all of those Black women having a good time, supporting one another. They're not throwing drinks at one another. They're not fighting over the table. This is more normal than what you're talking about. This is real life right behind you within range. So I think that young women being able to see that, the way that we are in community with one another as entrepreneurs is important, and that's my action item.
So I like that. I'm going to segue the question a little bit for Sydney, based on what you just said, Hallemah. And so what traits or what qualities do you think that women need to possess to be successful leaders in their communities, in their organizations, or their place of business? Will you share maybe 1 or 2 qualities that you think?
Yeah, I think the traits that make someone successful, I don't necessarily think are unique to gender. It's maybe just how we express it that may be unique to our gender or our ethnicity or our generation. Being on your game, knowing your stuff, being honest, stepping into integrity. I find that folks never want to say, I don't know, but sometimes it can be very liberating. I know people don't like to say no, and sometimes that can be equally liberating and powerful and bring about a better kind of yes in the end. I think it's important to be honest with yourself about who you are and what it is that you want. We try to yield to so many different pressures and expectations of who we are and who we should be. And I think that compromises our journey. I think women tend to sort of move with compassion and empathy a little bit more. I feel that women know how to, organize and multitask a little better. The jury is out for me in terms of if multitasking is really productive or not. But we're also not very good at practicing self-care and putting ourselves first. I do want to add that, not all women do get along. Not all men get along. And that is okay. But what's curious is that when men don't, it's sort of been gender neutralized. But when we don't, to Hallemah's point, everyone gets very excited about what that can, how that can manifest. You don't have to get along, you don't have to like someone, but you certainly have to treat everyone with respect. We may differ on opinions, we may differ on process, but I respect you always, right? I respect you as a woman, as someone's child, as someone in my space also trying to do good things. And I think sometimes that is what can get lost. I also think one way to give is by listening, to Kim's point, and to doing check-ins. And oftentimes what we do is, we place our own expectations on someone's journey, and that can cause complications for everyone. I want people to do exactly what I want. Maybe that's not their path. And so how can I be a better listener to help really give them what it is that they need of me?
How to be of support, not of command, but of support. I like that. And I like that you guys have incorporated some of the experiences and the stories and sharing like what in real life is happening. And I want to ask you a question and ask if you can share a lesson learned. Hard lesson, or or maybe the most recent lesson, or something that you think was one. Well, I don't know. You decide on the lesson you'd like to share. Let me not like put parameters on that part. And maybe starting with you, Christine, what's a lesson learned as a leader, as a female leader? What's a lesson learned that you'd like to share and maybe hope others might learn from it?
I don't know if I actually have a lesson learned, but it's something that I do pass on. Okay. Whenever I hear no, I bid a lot, just in case the panel doesn't know, I do bid a lot on a lot of projects. And one lesson that I've learned is that when I get a no, or I don't win a bid, I always ask why. I always inquire. I always ask for a meeting to discuss the reasons why our company didn't win, or what needs to be done to be more attractive to work with that particular client. So I don't know if that's a lesson learned, but that's something that I do try to pass on to other business owners. And I think it's been productive for myself and for the company as well. Does that answer your question?
That's beautiful. And partly why, and I won't lie to you and tell you where I read this, but I remember being reminded of that great leaders are life learners. So you reaching out to that customer, that client, that procurement officer, and saying, okay, we gave you our best shot. Our best wasn't good enough. What else do we need to do? I think that's wonderful.
Right.
I think that is very exemplary of your company's success. I think that's beautiful. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
What about you, Kim? A lesson learned?
A lesson learned in terms of being able to just
to navigate life as a woman in high heels on Sunday, 95 degrees outside. No, a lesson learned on any of your journey, and maybe even let's be a little more specific. A lesson learned, something you've held with you, like they have well, I don't know how you guys grew up, but my parents were from the South, so my upbringing is very Southern, and they weren't going to tell you more than once. So what was that not more than once moment that you've carried through that has been an aid in your success?
I think it may have been Hallemah, which is why I raised my hand when I said that was really a thing, is to really be able to take time to reflect on what it is that I'm doing, what it is that I want. Because you can be on a road for a very long time and not truly appreciate that this may not even be what you want to do. So I think that it's important to take the time to reflect, to be still, to appreciate what's going on around you, and to really focus on what your goals are. Am I being valued where I am? Am I being compensated the way I need to be? Is this really what I want to be doing? And is it here? Sometimes I think I found, at least this is my personality, I seem loyal to a fault, that I will continue to do something even though it's not necessarily good for me or good for my own personal growth or professional development. So to be able to take that time to really reflect on what is it I want and how best to do it, it's kind of like, when you were in college or in school and you were focused on a problem and you step away for a second, you come back to it, and then all of a sudden the answer reveals itself. And I think, as women, we multitask so much. I wear so many hats during the course of the day, and to be able to really sit back, reflect, meditate, I think that's something I've had to learn to do because I've always been operating on all cylinders. And so to be able to, I've learned that maybe the hard way, and I'm still learning it. So I definitely, if I were to give one nugget of wisdom to, women or girls that are coming after me, it's to really take the time to figure out what it is that you want to do, and to make sure that the things that you're doing are in furtherance of that.
Yeah, and in alignment to what I heard you say with your true self. I love
Right.
that. Thank you for sharing that. That was beautiful. Tameka, okay. Are you volunteering a lesson? I'll take it. Take off of mute.
Let me tell you, I don't know if I'm the oldest in the group, but I might be. I really might be. I feel like it at least. I would say another thing that we have to do is not major in the minors.
Say more.
We have to not major in the minors. We have to be careful not to react to things. There's things that happen to you, and then there's a way you react to it, and how you that really determines. Your mindset just has to be. I don't know. I just think I let a lot roll off. So like I heard when we were speaking earlier, and someone said sometimes women don't get along. I'm like, how do you not get along? We're too old not to get along. You know what I mean? Like, what are we arguing over? There's nothing to argue. I don't have beef with nobody. I promise you, not a soul. I don't major in the minors. I figure out I don't do stress, and I don't let nothing stress me out. I don't let no one stress me out. Not my children, not my family, nothing. Nobody's gonna, no. You're not getting ready to mess up this right here. No. My feng shui has to be on point at all times. And in that, you have to be selfish. You have to really take that stance. You don't let anybody mess up your force field. Nobody can enter your world and make your life stressed out or anything. Just don't go for it. And there's nothing to argue with anybody about. If it's an employee, you guys can agree to disagree. And I mean, if they're disrespectful, then they got to go. That's how that works. I'm not going to be stressed. I'm not going to lose an hour of sleep over it. I'm not going to gain another gray hair over it. Just don't major in the minors, because it's so much bigger. Think about it. Everything that we're going through is minute in comparison to other people's problems. And, what's the bigger picture? We're like a granule of salt in the world of what's going on.
I know that is beautifully said. Excuse me. Beautifully said. We have a tendency to want to go into the weeds, I think someone called it, but you can't grow, right? You can't grow. So you need to till that soil around you. It needs to be fertilized. It needs to be watered. If you're in those healthy environments, you and the things around you will flourish. So I think that's beautifully said.
Last thing I'll say to my last point, this is the last thing I have to say, is always try to remain in a beautiful state. You have two states of being you can be in. You could be in a beautiful state or a suffering state. When you're in a suffering state, that's, for example, if I go outside right now and I have a flat tire and I need to run somewhere, I get 30 seconds to deal with being mad about it. I'm going to look at my tire and I'm going to say, damn it, I got to go. But then you return back to your beautiful state. And what will happen then in the universe and in God, or whatever it is that you believe in, a higher being, it'll start to work itself out. But if I sit there stomping around and calling 5 friends and saying, can you believe I got a flat? Can you believe this man stole my tire? Whatever. I don't deal with it that long. You give yourself a couple of minutes. I'm sorry.
I said, we are not doing that.
That's called majoring in the minors.
It is.
You know what? Because at that moment, when you return back to your beautiful state, your mind just figures out how to work out the problem. Mm-hmm. And you know what? When you're in a beautiful state, you step out and you'll say, oh, there's a tow truck. Hey, you know what I mean? That's how it'll work itself out. But when you stay having a tantrum over it and spreading how mad you are about something, and that goes for everything in your life. You have two states of being, beautiful state or a suffering state. And I choose not to suffer.
Well, I love the beauty that's in this room. And I'd like to hear from Sydney. You shared some beautiful sentiments about our characteristics and the traits and the things that we can do as people, you know, being a person, a citizen of the world. What do you think from your lesson learned experience, from your experience, a lesson learned?
Yes. Well, I want to say thank you to Tameka for sort of expanding on that, because I think I was the one that said sometimes people don't get along. And that may be just unique to my field, because I'm debating policy, you know, on a weekly basis, and, you know, discussing, you know, bill ideas with people, and you hear their perspective, and they want to figure out ways to incarcerate more Black and brown people. They're okay with laws on the books that say it's fine to discriminate against people in the LGBT community. They're okay with passing laws that are going to disproportionately impact small, minority-owned and women businesses. And so I do find myself disagreeing with them. That doesn't mean I don't like them, and we may or may not get along based on how inherent those ideas are to who they are as a person. But you certainly, yes, at the end of the day, cannot sweat the small stuff, and you can't go to sleep with that on your mind, because nobody should keep you up at night like that. But maybe I too am a lifetime learner. You know, self-care, I have found, is incredibly important and becomes more important to me through the course of this year. And I can recall being younger and wanting to work, and not taking any time off. And then you actually end up going on vacation, and you realize that people survive without you. And, you know, you have these notions that you're indispensable. And if you're not there, then nothing is going to get done. And you realize when you step away that people figure it out. And it's great if they're relying on you, but folks can walk on their own without you. And that probably your stepping away and focusing on your own self-care is going to make you better and stronger and saner and safer upon your return. And I think because we live in a culture that really dismisses taking time off and keeping yourself whole and healthy, that we find it's sexier to say I'm busy 24/7 than it is to say I've taken some time to just, you know, heal myself and help myself. So I have learned through my own experiences that it is okay to shut down and heal my mind and my body. And it doesn't mean that I'm less than or weaker than. In fact, it means I'm working on how to keep myself stronger.
Yeah. So Hallemah, I think that's 4 people signed up for the sabbatical now. So if you want to,
Let's go.
tally that we're leaving. So I've enjoyed this conversation. I hope you guys have, and it's for a group of women that have not had a lot of direct contact. I mean, some of us have, but as a collective, I think the synergy in this room this virtual room is just awesome. And so just on the note of personal care and self-love, I just want to speak, because there's a human quality to being a successful woman, which I think, Sydney, you were speaking to, that we kind of get mistaken that we don't have. So I got one last final question for each of you, is where am I going to find you at 10 a.m. on Saturday? Okay, where am I going to find you, Christine, at 10 a.m. on Saturday?
Probably at home in my office.
Okay.
Truthfully.
Okay.
Multitasking, but maybe I won't be. Maybe I'll do some self-care. I'll take Sydney's advice.
Right. How about you, Tameka? 10 a.m. on Saturday, where are we going to find you?
Well, this Saturday, you'll find me at Atlanta Hartsfield. I'm rushing for a friend's wedding. But usually I'm listening to my music and trying to organize my closet or my room.
Okay.
That's a Saturday for me. Old school R&B.
I love that.
Yeah.
How about you, Kim? Where am I going to find you at 10 a.m. on Saturday?
I guess anyone who knows me knows that my 3 kids kind of rule. So pre-COVID, I would be at the sideline of a basketball court or a soccer field. That's typically how I would spend my Saturdays. Now it's just kind of making up and figuring out things to do with my kids because I'm a working mom. And so it's really important for me to be able to give them that time. So that's what I'm doing, being mom.
I love it. Hallemah, where will you be?
Well, we are in a quarantine right now. It's very interesting. On Saturday mornings, I hike. So I'm trying to find a new place to hike in Southern California every week. So this weekend, I will be hiking at 10 a.m. on Saturday. I will be hiking the Hollywood Reservoir.
All right. I love it. Sydney, where will we find you on Saturday?
Well, yeah, pre-COVID, you'd probably find me at some event around the district, but that has now moved to Zoom rooms. But on a quiet Saturday, I would either be making pancakes for my family, because everyone sort of enjoys when they get eggs and pancakes and breakfast time, or going to a farmer's market.
Okay. All right. I love it. So, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you have enjoyed the conversation as much as we have, and find wealth in the bonding and the sharing and the information that was shared here today. And if you enjoy family, hiking, pancakes, or working from home, I just want you to know that you are in good company, that we are all our best selves when we are authentic, loving, and sharing with one another. And I thank you again for joining us today. Have a good day.
Ladies and gentlemen, special guest, Denita Willoughby, LA Board Chair, with special remarks.
Good afternoon. My name is Denita Willoughby, and I'm a Vice President at SoCal Gas, and I'm also the Los Angeles Area Chamber of Commerce's 2020 Board Chairman. I was asked to answer the question, what does it take to get a seat at the table of corporate America? I spent a lot of time thinking about that question, and I tried to summarize it into 5 different focus areas. So let's get started. Number 1, always pursue excellence. Be relentless in your pursuit of excellence. That means bring your A game each and every day. It means take the time that you need to prepare. Practice, practice, practice. What is it? Practice makes perfect. So no shortcuts. Be ready to put the hard work in. Roll up your sleeves and get the job done with excellence. You want your work product to be synonymous with excellence. Number 2, set goals. I'm a firm believer not only in setting goals, but writing goals down and then revisiting them and then crossing them out as you accomplish or achieve them. I like to say, plan your work and work your plan. But a better quote than that is by Picasso. He said, our goals can only be reached through a vehicle of a plan in which we must fervently believe and upon which we must vigorously act. There is no other route to success. So set goals, plan your work, and work your plan. Number 3, invest in yourself. You are responsible for yourself. You are responsible for developing a career plan and path. So make sure that you invest in yourself so that you are ready. I like the quote that says, success is when preparation meets opportunity. So invest in yourself so that you are prepared. Build that portfolio of skills. Read books, read articles, take classes, be a continuous learner. Constantly stretch yourself. Build a strong brand and constantly evaluate yourself and your brand. Because sometimes we may need to polish our brand, upgrade our brand, and on some occasions we may need to completely reinvent ourselves. So 3, invest in yourself. Number 4, don't be afraid to ask for help. This is a long journey and we don't need to take it by ourselves. We need to build strong networks. We need to build allies. We also need mentors and sponsors. And let me quickly talk about the difference between a mentor and a sponsor. A mentor is there to provide coaching and counseling and career advice, but a sponsor is someone who has a seat at the table, the decision-making table, and they can advocate on your behalf for career advancement. They can recommend and suggest you for promotions and next steps in your career. So make sure that you take the time and ask for help. Build a strong network, have mentors and sponsors. And last but not least, take some risks. Play the long game. This is a long journey, and it's okay if you take risks, and it's okay if you fail. The most important thing is that you get back up and you keep fighting.
And now, acknowledgements from our sponsors.
Good evening. I'm Donna Ruff with Supplier Diversity and Development for Union Bank. I would first like to say that on behalf of Union Bank, we are so proud to be a title sponsor for GLAAACC's third annual Women in the C-Suite event. Union Bank is committed to the economic vitality of the communities we service, and we look to partner with organizations like the businesses represented here today, whose commitment to quality programming and we're serving the business community is priority. My deepest thanks to you all for coming together. 2020 has shown us the extremely difficult hurdles to overcome, and the call to action is clear. We need each other more than ever for support to rise up and stay connected in an effort toward a more sustainable and inclusive economy that provides opportunities for everyone. The visionary leadership shown here through these amazing women at this event is our start. It is a pleasure and honor for Union Bank to sponsor this event alongside of Southern California Edison, California Resource Corporation, and Valero. We would also like to acknowledge and thank all who have helped to produce this evening. The conversations during this event are the starting points that each of us needs to be better leaders and to create better leaders for tomorrow. Acting together, we can generate and implement positive change. So congratulations, GLAAACC, on another successful event. Your partners here with Union Bank look forward to working with you and participating in future events. Be well and stay safe.
Good afternoon. My name is Tene Bonds, and it is an honor to be here today on behalf of Valero, my employer, as a sponsor of this event. Here today with me are several other sponsors saluting GLAAACC on conveying this awesome conversation on what it takes to get a seat at the table. This is even more important to me because as a mother of a young girl, I want my daughter Brooklyn to have opportunities I have had and even more. As a controller at Valero, I am responsible for financial reporting, the contractor timekeeping, and warehouse. I have been with Valero for 20 years, and upon joining, I knew I had to work hard to find how my strengths fit in with the strengths of others, but also to raise my profile. We at Valero are honored to be a major sponsor for GLAAACC's annual Women in C-Suite event. This is an integral part of our commitment to our company because as the largest global independent refiner, Valero truly values women like myself and its entire workforce. Again, congratulations, GLAAACC. And at Valero, we look forward to working with you on other future events.
Tonight was just an example of the valuable information or workshops that GLAAACC has to offer. As we wrap up tonight, I want to ask you to please take a moment and reflect on everything that was discussed tonight. But more importantly, I want to ask you to take a look at the opportunity that you have today. Take a look at everything that's happening around us within the community. Take a look and make a pledge to help one another. There isn't anyone that will help us but us. So I want to ask you to take a piece of paper and put a line in the middle of it. On the left side, please write, what can I do to help someone else? What skills do I have that I can share with someone else? What business opportunity do I have that I can share with someone else? And then on the right side, I want you to think about a person that you can help, a person that you can offer a business opportunity, a person that you can probably mentor or even sponsor. So as we wrap up tonight, I'm asking everyone not to say, well, I can't do it, it's just me, but to remember that every one of us can help one another. The one person that you help is the one person that's going to help another one person. And as you know, we as women executives, we are here to support each other and lift each other up. I ask you to please think of a way that you can help anyone in your community, anyone around you. But as we wrap up, I don't want to forget, you can sign up for membership tonight. You can sign up for membership to allow us to continue to give you this type of programs. To become a member tonight, please join us on our website at www.glaac.org. We look forward to seeing you. We look forward to interacting with you, and have a good night.
This concludes the third annual Women in the C-Suite virtual event. Thank you to all that supported today. And a special thanks to the GLAAACC staff, Angela Gibson Shaw, Chanel Frampton, and Naomi Scott for producing this amazing event. Have a wonderful afternoon.